Hello, hello, and welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. I'm Tosca Di Matteo, founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and I am so excited to talk to you today with Chandra, co-founder of Whisk Whiskey, about Cambodian pride. Anything is possible, and here she is now. I'm going to bring you on in just 1 second, and for those of you who are not familiar with my platform, I bring different perspectives in people and have just real in-depth conversations with them to help you on your journey of living your best life, of healing, and of being the best leader you can be. So I'm going to invite you on now, and we can get the...
Hi,
Hello! Happy Tuesday! What's going
just
on?
enjoying the beautiful sunshine, despite.
Yes. Yes, it is freezing here in New York. That is for sure. Welcome everyone who's piling in. I'm excited to have you here. This is so exciting, Chandra. I've been looking forward to this conversation and just have been thinking so much about your journey and what we've talked about. I'm excited for this audience to learn more about your perspective on life. And I just wanted to start off with a quick story, and then I'm going to hand it over to you for you to introduce yourself and give us a sense of like what has shaped you in your life, who you are, where you come from, all that good stuff. But what I want to say to those of you who are new to Chandra is that she had put together a dinner, a Cambodian dinner at her restaurant, Whisk Whiskey, a few months ago. And well, actually, it was more than a few months ago. It was like late last year, and I said to her, "Oh my gosh, I really want to go, but I'm diabetic, and like I'm not sure I can actually like eat all this stuff." And she just created a whole separate batch for me without sugar, and that just it spoke volumes to like who you are, like your thoughtfulness, your kindness, what it means to you to host and be inclusive and make everyone belong. And like not only is it just it's just, I don't know. I think that kind of accommodation and just love is is not as easy to find as maybe we would like. So I just want to say, like again, how much that meant to me to that you did that. And we're just so like, oh yes, absolutely. And it wasn't like putting you out, and you didn't make me feel any other kind of way other than I felt seen, um, and heard and honored. So,
That's great.
um, yeah, thank you. Thank you for that and for who you are. So with that, I'm just so honored that you are taking the time to talk to me today and share your story and your inspiration with others. So I'll hand it over to you to share what you want about
Oh,
who you
thank you,
are.
Tosca. Well, I just want to say thank you for using your platform to highlight others because that's a big, it shows who you are, as a person. When I first met you, I was like, who is this bright and bubbly, like just lovely person in this space, and that's really like energy attract energy, that's like my big belief, so I'm glad that we, have been able to come together, and thank you for always constantly supporting us. I know you come through all the time and support all of, those other small business collaborations that we collaborate with. So we really, truly appreciate that.
Oh, my
Yeah, so
pleasure.
so my name is Chandra. I'm a first generation Asian Cambodian American. Very proud to be Cambodian, always have been. And Whisk Whiskey is my pride and joy, my little baby. Everybody had babies during the pandemic. I opened a bar. But yeah, so this,
I love that.
yeah. No, I mean, it's really true. Like everybody had babies. All my friends were on their second kids, and I was like, I'll just open a bar with my friends. But it's my pride and joy. It's something that, I didn't imagine happening for maybe a while, but when opportunity knocks on the door, you take it, right? So that's what happened. Um, I'm just really happy for the curation that we have built in the Parcel community in Brooklyn in general. Just being able to collaborate with other like women-owned businesses, people of color, especially my Cambodian community. Like I've never crossed paths with more Cambodian people in New York in my life until just now. And I'm just so proud to see us all coming together and just supporting each other and seeing other badass Cambodian women out there doing their thing. It's like so inspiring, you know? So that's that.
Yeah, okay, so there's a lot in there because I'm gonna dive in to your story here, and I just want to, um, I guess like maybe first hear a little bit, I think, about just what being Cambodian is like for you, right? And like what was it like growing up, and even just sharing a little bit about the culture because there's probably a lot of people that are going to jump on that maybe that aren't as familiar. And I've had the pleasure of visiting Cambodia briefly in 2019 and have some sense, but certainly not the depth that I would love to have. So yeah, like what was it like growing up Cambodian American, and how did you discover what it means to you, that culture, and how it might be similar and or different from growing up in the U.S. in Maine, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to hear. What'd you say?
I said, yeah, in Maine.
Yes, in another place that maybe not so many people are familiar with.
Lobster.
Right.
Yeah, so my mom came here as a refugee when she was about 10 years old. She got sponsored here, and she ended up in Bismarck, North Dakota. You know, so imagine coming from Southeast Asia where snow doesn't exist, jackets don't exist, and you end up in the most coldest part of America, you know? So she came here and she was sponsored through Catholic Charities, I believe, and she came here without her mom and dad. Like, unfortunately, during the Khmer Rouge, a lot of people had to separate themselves, especially people that had like education, people who had any sort of like if you could speak another language, like you might have gotten executed. So it's like there's a lot we can go into depth about that history another time, and everybody can do their own like research, but there was a lot. So she came to this country not knowing a lick of English, and she made her way through, and it was just like through meeting people and then trying to find like her family that has been spread all across the US. And we ended up in Maine when I was about 5 years old. I was born in Philadelphia, and we ended up in Maine, and my mom just stayed there ever since, and she's still there. So and slowly but surely there was a community of Cambodians that kind of migrated from like Massachusetts or Philadelphia or wherever they're coming from to Maine. So there's a big population of Cambodians in Maine now. And growing up, there was a small, like a small group of us that kind of like came together. My mom was really active in the community. She was hosting a Saturday show on at a nonprofit like radio program, which I eventually did in high school as well, but like for a youth program. But yeah, so I was always, my mom never not let me be Cambodian. Like, I did Cambodian dancing. I had to take classes, try to learn and read. I cannot read or write in Khmer, but I can definitely speak it very fluently. That's one thing I tried, but I was like, what? This is hot. But yeah, growing up in Maine, I lived in the city of Portland until I was about 10, and then from 10 to 16, I moved to Wyndham, which is like no other Cambodians were there. There was like no diversity. So that's where I really found like, oh, what? Nobody knows about Cambodia? This is crazy, to me. Like everybody didn't know who I was, what I was, so like there was always questions. And then it was for me then, like I was like, oh wow, like people don't know where Cambodia is. People don't know what like Khmer is. Like, so it was then that I found an opportunity to like share my culture with like, whether it was like a talent show, I would do like a Cambodian dance for everybody. Like it was very nerve-wracking because I was like, well, how are people going to respond to this, like this dance that they are not familiar with? And it was just like seeing people's like especially teachers were like, really supportive. And then like, it was like that moment when I realized, I was like, wow, like I have something to share, and that's like my culture. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. I thank you for sharing. And it's like, you know, one thing that struck me even right around like knowing how much community is important to you, and we'll talk about that, but also like, when your mom came over and like that journey of finding her tribe and her people, and I just like felt such a parallel in terms of what we all do. We're all just trying to find where we belong, and where we can continue to live in our values. And um, I think about even like my grandfather who came over, as an Italian American, or he was born here his first time, but his father was like, don't speak Italian, and really wanted to like, squash the culture because it wasn't, it was more um, advantageous to assimilate. And so like retaining the culture sounds like it was really important, in your upbringing, to honor that, and to live with everybody with that, and to see that that's your superpowers, that you bring this to the table.
You want to say
Um,
hi to everybody?
and I'm curious, like, the puppy. Um, and I'm curious, like, even today, like, with bringing, especially the food culture, to Brooklyn, like, what does it mean to you today to bring that forward to others?
Yeah, I mean, Cambodian cuisine is like, like it's very different, right? We have different, like it's very similar to like Thai, Vietnamese food, Laos food as well, but there's like such a history and a culture. But hello, sorry, she wants to say hi. It's such a history and
Oh my goodness.
a share our flavors because there's like I think I've only been to like one Cambodian like a spot in back in the day, but they like they put themselves as Thai food, and I'm like, no, like just be proud to say Cambodian, like take that risk, and like, and want to I want to bring that, like now, like a lot of people have traveled to Cambodia. Like Cambodia has been a destination for travel, and as it should be. There's so much magic there. Like visiting the temples, it's like this stuff was around before Christ was born. Really magical, and like there's such a lineage of honor from it because like my ancestors were kings and queens. Like there's a lot of magic. And I feel like that magic is instilled in me to like share that with others. But going back to the food concept is like, I really, Cambodian, I'm so sorry. She's just really active right now. Um,
You know what?
Cambodian cuisine is like, it's like spending time, right? It's like you sit down, you eat together for hours. And sometimes karaoke is involved and lots of fun. Like it's just like you could walk down the street in Cambodia and like someone's like, oh, are you hungry? Come inside, let's eat. You're a stranger, like just come on in, like let's share food. It's like that is like something that I'm proud of because I've always value making friends with people that like I would have never crossed paths with if it wasn't for just being open and the willingness to share something, whether it's food or just time. So just very excited to like like put Cambodia on the map in Brooklyn, New York. It's like there's so many of us, and we just and I'm seeing that now, and I like just making connections with there's other Cambodians out in Brooklyn. Little Skips is one of them. I can't wait to meet her. And like Grun Cambodia, she's like been this badass chef, like just killing it in the Cambodian like cuisine, and bringing food that people would never have tried if it wasn't for the courage to share our passions. So
I love that you use the word magic when you talk about, your culture and your country, all of that. Because I think we kind of lose touch with what is magical about who we are, our history, our past. And I love the other thing that you said, which is like that just own it, like own that this is what you're doing Cambodian food. And I think that that's a beautiful message just in general, like even if it's something that people aren't used to or something that's new to them, but like how can we own it and like educate people and see that as magical and powerful. um, but I do want to take a little bit of a step back as you were talking about growing up in Maine and how you really, even in your youth, were bringing forward your culture in talent shows and in other ways, and it was very well received. Now walk me through kind of, you've done a lot of different things in your life between AmeriCorps and Red Cross and bartending, and talk to me a little bit about that journey and how some of this is breaking kind of the cultural norms and what that means to you as
Yeah, I
well.
mean, the Cambodian culture is very close. Like, you don't like stray away from your family. You like stay close. And I'm that one that kind of just like, all right, I'm gonna go to college. All right, I'm gonna do AmeriCorps and travel for a year and like move all over the place. And then I was like, all right, I love New York. I've always loved New York. I mean, I came here when I was 14 years old, and the minute I stepped foot in Brooklyn, I was like, I'm gonna live here one day. That's it. I mean, Brooklyn has so much to offer in a way that it's like there's always something going on, but there's also like just really cool people that want to share their passions. So much artists, so much creatives, and that is so inspiring to me and invigorates me and energizes me, and it like keeps me constantly on my feet. And that's, if anybody can tell you about me, I've always been this person. I've always been, I gotta do something. I gotta do more than I can handle, because I just like I enjoy creating and learning, and I enjoy like just seeing what else is out there in the world, and I feel like New York City is that. But yeah, growing up, I just wanted to be a part of anything and everything. I had really great mentors that like guided me in a direction that, in a way that I was able to balance my American culture side and then my Cambodian side, and they really helped push me in a direction that was helping me elevate me to be who I am today, so I have to shout out them for all of that, because, without their mentorship, like, like who knows, but like my mom was a great supporter. Obviously it was hard at first because, culturally you kind of just go to school, come home, and like, but I was like cheerleading, playing field hockey. I was also like a rainbow girl. A rainbow girl is actually a big part of my life. My friend invited me when I was 13. It's like Masons, like like Masons and stuff, like Masonic Lodge and stuff like that. Like, it's a
Yeah,
smaller
yeah.
group. It's like a sorority in a sense, but it's like we're like the little, I don't know what the correct word is, but like we're like this younger version of the of that sector. But that helped me just like kind of build confidence and like public speaking, help me build confidence and like fundraising and like just being like out there, so that really shaped a lot in me. And then just being active in school, like being in civil rights, because that's really big to me. I was like the like, and anything that I could get my hands on, I was in it. Like I was, if I could be in the school play, I'm in the school play. So it's just that was who I was. So
Yeah, and it's like I know like so many people, right? Sometimes they can end up getting frustrated about like having all these interests, right? And then feeling like I wish I could focus, or I wish I was into like one thing. I think because society kind of pushes us to be like, the industrial age, like do one thing and do it effectively and efficiently, and da, da, da. So, but it sounds like you really embrace all of that, like all these different interests, and how do you see like how do you see that as your magic and superpower? Like how do you see that now that you're kind of, in this, your career woman phase, and even right as a co-owner of Whisk and Whiskey, like how do you see bringing all of these interests to light? Because like you're talking about a lot of different things, which I see also connecting, but I'm curious how you
I
see it.
mean, nothing phases me. Like literally now it's just all these experiences, like literally it puts me in a perspective that like today will pass and better things will always come as long as you work hard and you put your mind to it. There's nothing, you are unstoppable because of all of your experiences in life, so I think that's like something that I value a lot. It's like, especially during the pandemic, I was doing events sales. So like I had all of a sudden I had to stop. No one's getting married. No one's having a baby shower, having birthday parties. And I was like, how do I navigate this like new way? And for me, it was like, okay, conversations. It's like being transparent. It's like reading up on things that are happening, just keeping myself in the loop of things and like being positive. So I think the thing is like being positive, and there's nothing else more that I can think of is that I was successful in that realm, in that time, because I was always staying positive, and I was always instilling confidence in my clients that this will pass and we will be able to get through this together, and you will have your beautiful wedding and you will have your beautiful baby shower. Don't worry, we'll figure this out together, because the times were very cloudy at the time, like no one knew what was happening, but that to me like really showed me that anything is possible no matter what the obstacles are. So
Oh, yeah, it's like you're like a problem solver. I can like, it's like you're gonna find a way. Um, and I'm curious, because I also want to go back to like hearing a little bit more of your story of how you got into mixology and that realm, which has led you to, launching your own bar and
yeah,
restaurant. So,
that's so funny. Yeah, that's a story I like to tell, actually. It's funny enough. After my first year of college, I was like, I don't know, college is for me. So it was like summer break. I was like, bartending looks cool. And I was like 19. So I go to like this bartending school for like a month. It was really cool. I learned a lot. And then I was like, I can't find a job. I guess I'll go back to college. And then my junior year, my car like broke down, and I was like, oh man, I gotta get like, I can't do work study jobs, or I gotta actually get a job. So I ended up trying to bartend at this resort, and they were like, you're too young, and I'm like, no. And summer like hit, and they were like, oh, we're short staffed. I was like, let me bartend. That's Beyonce.
I love it. I love it. He's excited to hear your story.
Yeah, so then I had the opportunity to bartend, and they realized, oh crap, she's really good. And I was like, told ya. My 20-year-old, I think I was like 20 when I started doing bartending. And then yeah, so then and then I took a little bit of hiatus from bartending, just because like, AmeriCorps, this and that, and then moved over to New York, and I was like, got into my field, and then I was like, ooh, it's expensive out here. Let me get a second job. So I got back into bartending as like a part-time thing, and then it's just like, I was like, wow, I really enjoy this. I really enjoy it. And that was a way for me to meet friends, because like I moved to a new city, friends were here, but
Mm.
like everybody was busy, and then I met new friends just through bartending, and I was like, wow, I really enjoy this. And then next thing you know, I get poached to work at this other bar, and then I'm like just back in it. And I'm enjoying it. I loved it. And then I got an opportunity after I started bar managing for a little bit and still bartending. And then I got an opportunity to do events. So that was like, oh, cool. I guess I'll do this because I'm good at this too. And then the pandemic hit. And then I was like, oh, okay, I can't do either one. So, and then long story short, my friends were like, want to open a bar. And I was like, I haven't bartended in a while, but let's do it. And then we did it, and I was like, oh crap. So if you ever visited Whisk Whiskey, like everything you see that's like on the back bar, all the cocktails, like that's all me.
Yeah, and there are some good cocktails which I have tried to replicate myself, which cannot be done. You have to go for the original
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, the menu is so inspired. The cocktail menu is so inspired. Okay, so this is so juicy, and I just want to go. I feel like I keep rewinding the tape a little bit because you know I work with people that are in flux and they're trying to figure out their career a lot. I work with a lot of people in that part of their life, and it's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And like, and I think a lot of people end up just getting kind of stuck in like figuring it all out, like creating a whole map before they take the first step. And what I'm hearing in your story is that you just really honored what brought you joy and what excited you. Like you're like, I'm going to take a bartending class because it seems cool, and like, and just letting it unfold in that way. And like when opportunities come, it just sounds like you were like, does that interest me? Does that like appeal to me? And you're like, if it does, all right, I'll give it a try. Like, am I kind of capturing it right in terms of how you look at these
Yeah,
things?
yeah, you are. Yeah, it brought joy.
And,
It brought me a
and
lot of
what?
joy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just sounds like you also take a very experimental approach. It's like, I'll give this a shot, but you're not like, I don't get a sense that you're like tied to stuff. Like if it doesn't work out, you get like there's a million other things you can do. You got all kinds of magic, Like
Definitely. And I think that comes from the courage of just being able, like, like accepting humility. Like it doesn't work out, you move forward, right? So I've always been able to accept humility in any form. So I think that's like something that, like, we as adults, we always want to be right, we always want to be so sure and affirm, but like sometimes things don't work out, and you just have to keep pushing forward and try it again or try something new. Like life shouldn't be, you shouldn't put yourself in a box in life. Unless I was Beyonce, then I'm just gonna be Beyonce. Like she's a whole nother yeah, sometimes we just have to accept that and just, Beyonce, I'm talking, mama. Sometimes we just have to accept that, like, that we can change things in life. Especially for me, like, I would never want to look back, 10 years from now and be like, yeah, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. I say I did it.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy that you're bringing this up because I was just listening to Brene Brown podcast yesterday with I think the author of Drive, and he just wrote a new book. Dan Pink, I think is his name, and he just wrote a book about regrets, and how there's so much information when we look at like what we didn't do and versus like what we did. And like the big aha that he was talking about, that I'm connecting with you, right, is like that people actually, it's not, they more regret what they didn't do, what they didn't try, than actually something that they tried and then maybe it didn't work out. And there's, that really resonates with me, especially in this moment in time where everything is getting right, like there's kind of chaos and people are kind of reevaluating things, which is what you did when you started a whole another pathway for yourself by starting a new business. Um, and I'm curious if you see yourself as a risk taker. Do you see yourself as like um, living on the edge, or do you look at it like I don't want regrets? Like how do you maneuver through those life choices?
Definitely, I have to say, risk taking is scary, but as much as I like, sometimes I like joke about it because, like, my partners and I, we always laugh. Like, I'm the one who sees colors and lights. I'm just like, colors and lights, colors and lights. This is so much fun. Where like, there's like an Myers Briggs, I'm an ENFP, so like I'm just very like, ooh, this will all work out somehow. And then I'm also Pisces, so I'm even more like, yeah. But I think that, the thing is, like, my family risked their lives to come to America. They escaped a genocide killing, and they risked their lives to come to America and then create me, like, here I am, and I feel like I have so much to give back to my family, and I have so much that I want to create opportunities for the future of my family. Like, I have younger siblings, I have younger cousins. I want them to see that, like, we have to, if push comes to shove, we have to take care of each other, and like, but we have to also create this lineage of our legacy here for our future. Like, we are first generation. Like, we're not second, we're not third. We don't have things set up for us, right? So we got to set it up for each other. For me, just creating this opportunity for myself is, I hope that it inspires my family to do the same. Because we all have come with so much creativity. Like, there's so much opportunity for the rest of us to succeed as well, and however we choose. Whether that's opening up a business or just like finding different things that excite us and invigorates us in life, and I just hope that like, and I have to say, like, it's just like, I have a younger sister, and she's always been my little prodigy, and like, I see it now, like, the things that I've done, she has followed in the same similar path, but like on her own creativeness, and it's just so, that to me is like, that's just gonna pass down. She's gonna, when she has, if she wants to have kids one day, she's gonna pass that, same energy back, and I hope that I just create this circle of life for the rest of my lineage, of my family, that anything is possible, so. And I'm just about my community, like, a lot of Cambodian people are so creative and have so much to share, and I want all of us, like, I actually have a friend, childhood friends from back home that created a cognac, and they're just like, I can't wait for them to come to New York, because like, when they come to New York, every cocktail I have is gonna have, and it's just like, it's so awesome to see that, everyone is like doing something that pays homage back to our Cambodian culture, and like really putting us on the map. And I'm just so proud to be a part of that movement, because it's happening. I'm seeing it, and I'm so inspired by it. We're breaking cultural barriers. We're breaking a lot of things that we wouldn't have had the opportunity to if it wasn't for our family coming to America. I wish my mom went to Canada, but I love Canada.
Well, and I think, the word that comes to mind when you talk about this, right, is representation. And that, I just get a strong sense of that you feel a sense of responsibility to show what is possible, to not just dream it and talk about it, but to be like, let me show you what it can look like for you. And I think that's just so powerful, not just for the Cambodian community, but for other people of color in other communities where the path has not been paved, or it's been such a hard path that it's hard to even imagine what's possible. Like, and I'm curious, like, for you, like, was it environmental and the support that helped you see that like anything was possible for yourself? Did you have perceptions about limitations, or were you just like kind of born and being like, all right, world, here I am, like, watch out, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I definitely had really supportive friendships, very supportive mentorships, very supportive mother, like, I was able to just be myself and like not have to, because like, I remember the first time I brought Cambodian food to lunch, and I opened that lunchbox, and I'm sure every Cambodian kid can tell you this. We, because we use a lot of fish sauce in our food. We use a lot of like shrimp paste and all those are not the most appeasing smells, but they're the most delicious. But I just remember people like, oh, what is that? And I was like, food. You wanna know more about what's in here? And inviting friends over for dinner, and having my mom create, like dishes and foods. And then my mom loves hosting parties. That's where I got it from. Like, she would, any opportunity to host something, she would be hosting it, and that's really like the Cambodian culture. We love just hosting parties, we love just like getting a group of people together just to hang out and like enjoy being with each other. But yeah, I guess like it's always been instilled in me, and I've always had that hustler drive. Like, I remember when I moved to Wyndham, I looked around, and I was like, oh, I'm so bored, because like there's no playgrounds, I can't just, like go to the park. It's like, I lived on a lake, so like, like I would just rode my bike around. I got into like BMXing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a BMXer. My mom bought me a BMX bike. I was like, nah, I want to skateboard. And I was like, I don't like skateboarding, so it's just like, I've always like, my mom's always like, okay, you don't like that, let's try this. And then, it collects dust, but like, going back to it, it was like, I remember I saw an opportunity. I was like, there's a lot of like older people here that just let their dogs out in the backyard. Let me offer dog walking services, so, and CDs were very expensive back in the day. So, I loved music. So like, I was, walking dogs so I could buy CDs,
right. Yes. Oh my God. So there's something here around, like finding opportunity where it is, and I think especially in this moment, right, there's so much disruption that it's like, yeah, where can you see what the needs are, and how you fill that in. And I lost my train of thought because there was something else I wanted to bring out. But oh yes, it was, this idea of being supported, and I talk to a lot of women who like run communities, like last week I was talking to Christy Wallace, who's the CEO of Elevate, and I've talked to many other women that have like communities, and they talk so much about how important support is, and I think there's a lot of people that don't know what that feels like and don't know how to get it, and that can be really hard then to go after your dreams and like to feel lifted and supported, just go experiment and put your magic out there. But I feel like part of what you do is you create supportive community through your physical space, but also through who you are and just gathering. And so I'm curious, like what support means to you in terms of how you view owning a bar and restaurant in Brooklyn, and what kind of place you envisioned it to be, you and your
Yeah, I mean,
co-founders.
like, Chef Koi, she's Trinidadian, and she's so proud to be Trinidadian. She's very proud. She's as Trini as it comes. She's Brooklyn born and raised, and she saw that there was a need for representation as well. And we spent the quarantine together, just like creating theme parties, cooking, baking, making drinks, and just enjoying each other's company. And then, we are always like sharing our heritage with one another, just as friends. And I felt like that was like the energy we wanted to bring into Whisk Whiskey, is like we have so much to share, and there's so much others out there that want to share as well, like, so we wanted to create a space where like we're proudly of who we are, being two badass, women, and like just being able to create a space that represented us in every way, like from everything when you first walk in, like we picked every finish, like everything you see, every detail, it's like us, like this is what we want to share, and uh, creating that space, we just want to be able to share in a way that like inspires others to, whether it's like eating a bake, and a bake is a classic Trinidadian bread. It's a popular street food in Trinidad, and we taken that bread and like fused it with like different, fillings that like, that represents us. And, just being able to be like, oh, I had a bake, and it's a classic Trinidadian bread, but there's a place that's doing a little different fusion. And it's like just sharing the conversation. Then you kind of like, oh, that's really cool. Now I want to go visit Trinidad, or I want to know more about Trinidad, or like, coming to the Cambodia dinner party. It's like, oh, wow, I tried this really awesome food. And now you want to go to Cambodia, or you want to share, what you've, had, because like, Beyonce. So sorry.
He's just in full alignment of what you're talking about right now. He's like, yeah, I want some Cambodian food. When's it lunchtime?
Actually. But yeah, going back to your question, yeah, just like creating a space to, be able to share and like come together as who you are, and being yourself, like you can come in, and like sometimes on a Saturday night, like it'll be like group of like girls like hanging out, a whole bunch of different people like on dates, people who are just like in the area and they're sitting by themselves at the bar, or there's someone working on their laptop because they work overseas and they're just drinking a beer. It's like you come into our space and you just be who you are, however you want to be, and enjoy yourself.
Oh, I love that. That's why I said to you, you're like my cheers. I don't go. I want to get there a lot more than I have been now that the COVID is kind of like getting a little under control. Definitely look forward to popping in more often. But I think, the marketer in me, when you share this story of bringing Trinidadian and Cambodian cultures together and like fusion and like, I think that like looking like outside of the box and outside of like what we're told makes sense, because all those rules need to be broken. Like we have to fuse, we have to find new ways, and owning what that is, and also seeing the bigger thread of like of what it means to you, like your bigger mission, I think is what makes it all make sense, and I think it's just a huge, like, I share that because I want the audience to really look at, like, where are you putting yourself in a box where it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be, and it doesn't have to be one thing, or it can be all these things. I think about, you have a wonderful sweet offering, and desserts and pastries. You have amazing, cocktails, and you have food from different cultures, and it all works because the whole idea is this bigger mission of belonging and community, and come as you are, which I think if we could just multiply that, like,
Yeah.
and exponentially grow that. Like, speaking of, like, what is your vision? Like, where do you see yourself in the next, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 years? Like, do you have a sense of that, or are you just kind of living in the moment with
I
where you
definitely
are?
see myself just like enjoying what comes in life every day, that's for sure. But my biggest goal is to let's just be happy, and just live in my honor of like being here, because like not to be morbid, but like life is, you just never know. And I want to make sure that like however I choose to live my life is that I am here to inspire and be a part of a journey that everyone's on, and to like really highlight others, like, and when you come to Whisk and Whiskey, you'll see like, yeah, we have Jameson, yeah, we have Kettle, but then we have all of these other selections of small owned, black owned, Asian owned, just, local, um, uh, just like products that like no one else would buy on the shelf because they never had it before, like, so it's like a lot of things that we have in there is for conversations. It's like to you're sitting at the bar, like, oh, what are you drinking? Oh, I'm drinking this. It's actually a distiller down the street. And it's like, oh my gosh, I live in this neighborhood. I never knew there was a distillery down the street. It's like having conversations with strangers. And, like, I think, like, there's something that's so beautiful about New York. It's so big, but sometimes it gets a little lonely, because it's so big and people aren't as apt to like talk to a stranger. Like, you're like, oh, why are you talking to me? But like in our space, we want people to have conversations with each other. We want the energy just to keep flowing, and like we want it to be a positive, contagious energy type place for everyone to just feel like, oh wow, like I can actually be myself, and like this is fun, like. So with that being said, like I just want to continue to keep supporting other small businesses and using my platform to highlight others, because I think it's so important. And to like, like, yes, I have a business, but I also have an opportunity to help others elevate themselves, or help others like elevate me, to bring in other people who would never come that way, or who would never have known, so it's just like a whole big circle of like inspiring each other and encouraging each other. And that's what really like invigorates me every day. It's like I just enjoy seeing other people be so successful in what they are passionate about, and that like makes me like happy, so.
Oh, yeah, and I love what you're bringing up, because what it makes me really think of is this idea of the feminine way, you know, in collaboration and in supportive environments, which is something that is not, that our culture hasn't, uh, encouraged, right? And I mean that in terms of like not gender really, but the masculine and feminine, and the balance, and how things get done. Um, and I just love the way that you see it in terms of, we grow together, and we support each other, and we lift each other up, because we all win. There is no, it's not a zero sum game.
Some
Um, and I'm
Exactly
sorry,
what
what,
you
I
said.
missed
It's
it.
not a zero sum game. Like it's like I'm doing great.
Yeah.
We're gonna do great together. It's like let's inspire, let's encourage each other, and that's like that's what life is about. To be like really what in like that's really what excites me. So
Yes, yes, and Island Vibes, Org is saying like
oh hey
it's a really great space to just be. Definitely confirming what we're saying about your space. And and I think that a big theme that kind of comes up too is like just the intentionality, like that you want there to be communication. And so that's part of like how you choose to bring things in. And I think what the world, if I can speak for the world, I think what the world is like longing for and missing, right, is our ability to travel and connect and have these conversations about culture and food. This is part of the zest of life, and that you've created this microcosm where you don't even have to travel on a plane, but you can just kind of learn from each other right in your own
Yeah.
backyard, which I think is so true. It's like, the itch to travel, but it's also like you can travel where you are and explore so deeply if you open your mind to say what else is possible within these constraints that we may have right now,
Actually, you yourself said it best. Like when your family came here from Italy, like they were trying to assimilate to the American culture, and it's like, look at the Italian food now. How far it has come in America, and look how much it has really shaped the American culture. And I think that in America, there's so many cultures that are now shaping America, and we're becoming this place that's like, we're not, like English is not just the only language in this country. Oh, and
right.
it's like I want to try food from other places and other cultures. I want to open my palate to other, things, and I think that it's so honoring to like even be a part of someone else's culture and sharing that experience with them. It really shows like how big the world is and how much more I have to learn, and I think that's like the biggest thing is that like knowledge is power, knowledge is a superpower, and it's like if you are comfortable enough to just be uncomfortable so that you can learn more, I think that's the most like the best thing you can do in life, I never forget this. I went to like Puerto Rico with one of my friends, and she spent like 2 weeks backpacking in Cambodia by herself. Like she's just like, and for me, I'm like very like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And she's like, let's go to this like place and like learn how to dance salsa. And I was like, okay. And we show up there, and there's like very older, like 80-year-old men like dancing the night away. And I'm just like, this is so cool. Like I want to learn. And it's just like you put yourself in this uncomfortable place, and you're just like, okay, like let's do this, And I feel like a lot of us would just shy away from that and be like, I don't know, I'm not gonna try. And it's just like, you're missing out on life if you don't want to try something that makes you uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, like I couldn't agree more. And I think that this is kind of what's coming to the surface, right? In every aspect of getting uncomfortable and moving through it and quit staying in the safety zone. Whether you're talking about, you know, awakening to, everything going on, in terms of like white supremacy, racism, and white people taking, you know, getting uncomfortable and being willing to do that in order to move humanity forward, all the way to like getting uncomfortable and trying a different kind of job and saying like, you don't have to it doesn't have to be the end all be all. It can just be something to see if you enjoy it or not. And also I think what you're talking about is really expresses like the idea of shared humanity and the more that we discover the differences, the more that we discover what's the same, um, across humanity. And to me, that's I think what the world needs is to see like, oh my God, like, the Italian culture of like, just come on in and we'll feed you, it's like the
Yeah.
Cambodian culture, right? It's like there's so much of that. It's like can we just see that we're so much more alike than we are different?
Like I've been to one of my good friends. She's like from Long Island, like dinner, and I'm like, it's just like Cambodia. Like it's just a Cambodian dinner because like it's like 7 courses. You start off like with cheese, and you have like a 5-course meal, and then you have desserts, and it's just like it's the same thing. Like we all just enjoy spending time with people that we want to share our cultures with, and like that's something so beautiful.
And I think even tying it back to like your topic of like anything is possible, like when we start to make new connections and we start to see different perspectives, like we start to see like that the world is our oyster. And I think one of the things also that you've been talking about that I think is so important is this is perspective taking, right? When you look and you say, you know, there's there was a mass genocide, you know, and there were no chances to
Yeah.
take risks, you know, and you compare that to like what the fuck, start a business, like, and if you fail, who the fuck cares, you know what I mean, like, pardon my French, but you know what I mean, it's like what are the risks we're really talking about? And when you can put it into perspective and you can realize, man, is this really a big deal? You know, or will I make it through even if this doesn't work out? And I grow forward. You know, I hate that term like fail forward. It's like, no, you're growing forward, you know, like um but I think it's really powerful to look at our options in perspective of even those who don't have those options. Like so there's so much privilege in
Yes.
having choice. And
Yeah.
and you just have such a strong bias towards action, you know, it's like the doing, you know, which I think is also important because we can really our inertia can really keep us from
Absolutely. I mean,
experimenting.
it goes back to like say like, my family came here as refugees and they just had to go work. They just had to go find work and do what they could do to support, the family. And it's like I want to break that cycle. I want, my mom didn't have opportunity to be creative and then, she had to come here and just figure out life on her own and learn English and my mom had me young, so then she got her GED when she was like 22, 23, and like she had that drive as well, because of the opportunities that were presented to her and she took it with a lot of, she was scared. I remember being like third grade reading the books for my mom, like my mom was like, what's that word? I'm like, oh yeah, like I remember like, and that's how I was able to see through her eyes that like there's so much opportunity to better ourselves, but she wasn't set up for that because she had to come and just assimilate really quickly, and that really goes back to me saying like, I want to break that. I want to, you don't have to go work at the factory. You don't have to go work a 9 to 5. You can do whatever you think inspires you. And I hope that all the things you do in life comes with joy, So I really want that to be like this next generation of second Cambodian Americans, like do what brings you joy and don't be afraid to fail because like at the end of the day, you have your family that's always going to support you and you have a society that allows you to be creative, So I really hope that that's like moving forward. Like that's the wave. That's what the cool kids say these days.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, honestly, you know, that concept of of chasing your joy, of following your joy, like that, you know, it's one of the secrets of life, right? It's like if that's where the unfolding comes from. And honestly, as a coach, you know, sharing that sentiment to say like what makes you happy and you continue to follow that thread and those breadcrumbs and the next step will unfold. And I have to like follow that my damn self too, you know, like it's harder for some than others. Um, but I think that, you know, your story that you're sharing is not dissimilar from a lot of, you know, first gen immigrants where, you know, options, you know, were limited for your parents. And now it's like breaking out of, and some people, I think in certain cultures, you know, they're even discouraged from dreaming bigger and just being content and satisfied because they have it so much better than you know, their parents. So it's wonderful to hear that like that you had such a supportive family that were like, yeah, go do it, whatever, skateboard, whatever, you know.
Obviously, like
Um,
there's obviously like scared. They were scared, for me or like worried, but I think throughout life that anything that presented itself is always like you have options, And I think
yeah.
as for us women, we were kind of set up in society that we didn't really have options. We had to be content. We had to follow this like idea of like go to school, get married, have children, and it's like that's not my narrative, It's and I
Yeah.
hope that like, I see it now in a lot of ways that like social media has become such a big platform for everyone to like just be creative and like show their passion. So I feel like, I see a lot of more women-owned businesses coming through, making, like Island Vibes. She's a cool, you should check her out. She's awesome. She sells
Cool.
eyewear, and then she donates it back to a nonprofit for eyewear as well. Like, I'll share her passion another time. I'll let her.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm up for a new pair of glasses. So it's so
Yeah.
funny you say that. I just got my new prescription yesterday, so I'm ready. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, it's just like, it just goes back to that, like, that empowerment. I'm seeing women stepping up and like really sharing their passions and what they want to create for, you know, their narrative in the world. And like, men have always been like the top dogs in the small business world. They've always been the one things, but move over, sir. It's time for us.
Yes, there's more space. There's more space, and it's not a pie, right? It's not like you get less and we get more. It's like no, the pie is infinite, and once we start seeing it that way, we can change our narratives, and those narratives don't no longer serve us. They never served us, but now it's like, oh right, yeah, like no, that's not my lot in life, and I can be magical and do something completely different, and not play to these identities that that put us all in boxes. So and I can't believe we're already coming to the top of the hour, and we got Juan Marco just joined, and he's got a beautiful restaurant, an Italian restaurant in
Okay.
Mexico City. I had the pleasure of visiting there in September, actually, and he's brought his Italian heritage to Mexico City with his dad founded that. Yeah, so such a beautiful restaurant. Oh my God, he treated us like king and queen, Ryan and I, and but the same sentiment, right? Like this community and just connection. I think is just one of those things about hospitality that I think we're all craving. Um, but I mean, is there something that like you want to make sure that you say that maybe we haven't covered on this, you know, topic of anything is possible, and I know that your passion to lift all women up, and especially women of color, that this is our time to rise. um yeah, just is there anything you feel like hasn't been said that you want to
I
share?
mean, I can't really think. It's really just our time to rise. I mean, like the opportunity is now, So I have to say, like, whatever. If anybody who's watching, if there's something that you're passionate about, go for it. Try it out. Like do something that inspires you, but also builds a community around you. Because those are the people that are gonna support you and uplift you on the times that you feel like you're not gonna be successful in this like journey that you take on. So build that community, find your tribe, but also take that risk and be creative. Because there's nothing more magical than sharing something that you're passionate about. So that's inspiring. So inspire each other, to be inspired. you know
I love that. That's such a great message to leave us on. And for all of you who are in Brooklyn or make it to Brooklyn or get your butt from like Manhattan out here, come visit Whisk and Whiskey, right in my backyard. Give me a call. I'll come there with you, and experience the magic of that beautiful place. And I am excited for our friendship, for our connection, and look forward to continuing to support you and see you grow and expand, and just enjoy each moment in the process of that expansion. So thank you
Of
for
course, of
your
course, we're having
time.
a Cambodian New Year party in April, so mark your calendars.
Ooh, that is super exciting. Yeah, definitely gonna mark that down. Yeah, I mean, you got a great event calendar, and so anybody follow Whisk and Whiskey, and you'll see what they've got going on. Lots of collaborations. You really do. You walk your talk. You lift others up. You support them, and you create this community. So I'm excited to be a
Of
part of it. So thank you so much, and thanks for your time on this
course. All right,
platform.
bye, y'all.
All right, ciao for now. Thanks everyone
Thank
for
you. Bye.
joining. Take care.